Put in a dip in your hip, a glide in your stride. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
Sensitive/offensive content disclaimer. Please note that this podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Whoa, where'd you go? Good evening, travelers. I just lost Rhonda.
I'm right. What did you
Why?
do?
Why is it going like that?
I don't know.
Hello. I don't know, and I don't understand what that was all about. That was intriguing.
Like, I'm not lost. I'm right here.
I know it's not this show unless something odd takes place.
This is true.
Yes. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Orion Effect right here on the R.I.F.T Nation Network. We're going to put that in its right spot. Look at that. Look at that. We are here. What an amazing show do we have you all set for this evening. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Just saying. We are going to do a few things a little different tonight, if you will. We're going and taking a little bit of the old and bringing it back to the new. Oh, hello, Robert White, and welcome. And Rhonda, I'm going to hand it over to you to say hi.
All right, let's say hello to everyone. Hello, Michelle Wilfong. Hello, Keith Ottersberg. Thanks for sharing us out. Let's see. Hold on. There's a lot of restream. Hello, Laura Lee. Hello, Lois Clark. Hello, Linda Nelson. Hello, Robert White. I think I got everybody.
There you go. And you know what? This is something that we started out doing that we haven't done since we did the new format and all that. The hit list has returned. And for those who are not familiar with the hit list, this is the list of us thanking those who were at the prior show and those who constantly follow us, travelers and those like, and our way to thank our sponsors and our promoted groups. Carrie Lynn, Mary, hello, everybody.
Hello, man. Great.
So let's get started because we've got a little bit of time because I could spend 3 hours with the lady that we're about to talk to. But, I'm going to jump into this right now. This is the hit list right here on the Orion Effect from the Hitman himself. Special thanks are going out to Tracy Drool, Chris Fox Rowland, Laurel Padavin, Kim Sage, D. Dawns, Carrie Willie Whitby. Hopefully, I'm not massacring your names. If I do, massacre me later. Tell me now. Ronnie and Shayla Record, Renee Cody. Oh, we got to put that in there. Promotional promoter, Renee Cody. Okay, we'll get that there. Susan Swambeck, network producer. Lois Clark, Jones Lee, Heidi Gohl, Jeannie Wordwell, Robert Odell, Frog Brother, Tom Dingo, Laura Orr, Monica Stewart, and Keith Ottersberg. Thank y'all for last weekend, and we're acknowledging you, just like we will acknowledge next week those who are with us right now. Thank you to all of you. Tonight's show is brought to you by SS Crystals. Catch us live on RNN when she goes. She's periodic, so you just have to catch that show when she goes on. We also want to acknowledge and say huge thank yous to GOS, Ghost of Stanton, Virginia. If you haven't, you need to come to Virginia, go to Shenandoah Valley, get your tour today. It's an amazing location, gives you a great history of the Shenandoah Valley and Stanton, Virginia. The entire town is haunted. Go check it out. Also brought to you by Boo's Paranormal Equipment. The right price for the right equipment for the right person. Check them out. They're back up. So check them out. Boo's Paranormal. They are back on track. Now, we also want to give our special thanks out to the Things Network, who always are promoting and sponsoring and helping us and putting our name out there. Also to our wonderful friends over at the UPRN. As you can see, Laura is here, and the lady also from the Spirit Switchboard in the house. That's right, Carrie Lynn is here. So we got things at the foot of the bed. We got the angel rockers in the house, and we got the Spirit Switchboard is in the house. What? We also want to give a shout out to Midwest Paranormal at 12 o'clock tonight. Once you leave here, get ready for a great Sunday evening. Get yourself a cup of paranormal soup tonight. Now, I do believe it's actually 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but don't hold me to it. Jason and the guys and the crew there. So I also want to do one more quick hit. Special thanks to the following companies. Virginia Power. Thank y'all for tuning in and supporting us. Thank you to Dow Green Militians Depot, guys and gals. Thank you so much for following us and supporting us. As you have just started learning about us, we're going to teach you a lot, hopefully. To Service Machine in Ashland, Virginia. Thank you for all of you who are tuning in from those companies, and also from Laws of Inspiration LLC, new friends that we just made this weekend that I met at Oddballs, Super Flea, great people. So want to put that out there. Rhonda, what do you got going on? And you're absolutely, oh, look, she dropped in under the angel rock. What? So we got a tremendous show.
Yeah, we do.
What have you got going on this week? And then we're going to jump right into it because we're going to bring her on in just
this week. I am leaving tomorrow to venture to Massachusetts. We will be visiting Salem for a few days and then heading on up to Fairview to Massachusetts Paracon.
I was wondering about that because I was like, weren't you supposed to go to Gettysburg this weekend?
I was supposed to, but then we decided to go up to Mass early so we could go hit Salem. And so there was just no traveling to Gettysburg, coming back today, and then leaving again tomorrow.
Oh, well, there you go. And speaking of Gettysburg, Courtney Nicole just dropped in. She's in Gettysburg right now. Oh, she was. Her and her amazing husband, my co-host on G3. That's right, Ghost Gadgets and Gossip. Once a month, you'll find it right here on this network. That would be the amazing Sean Elliott. Yeah, so she was supposed to go, and she left me all alone crying. Oh, you're in
You
12.
did not look like you were shedding a tear. I saw pictures. Next time, I'm the one shedding a tear. Y'all are visiting Warren Paracon and all of that, seeing the real Annabelle doll, and I'm over here in Virginia packing.
You could have got packing. This packing. Yeah, you got to give that to packing. Got to give it. Got to give the props up. I was crying internally. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump right into the show, because I can tell you now, we probably should have made this 2 hours, or we should have made it here and then another couple of months there and another couple of months there. I've done, well, there's not very many times that I get nervous or I'm intimidated, and I'm going to use the word, by an individual. But after doing the research on this amazing woman we're about to bring on, and I see her as she's making up her hair going, yeah, right. Well, you got to understand. I don't talk about this ever. You may see quotes on my Facebook or wherever, but I'm a huge student of Bushido. It's a samurai code. It's the way the samurais came to be. And it's not something I talk about, but bringing her to this show just made me went, holy crap, holy crap, holy crap. I'm actually, because I know her. And I don't know her from the paranormal. I know her from martial arts. This is amazing to me. That's why I went, oh, I'm sweating. Oh my God. You know, it was and I cannot wait to introduce you guys. We're going to do a little segment for her. Then we're going to introduce her. And ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the one and only, that's right. The Chakra Witch herself. We're going to give you a little introduction to her. Then we're going to bring her on.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome.
There we go.
Meditation brought to you.
We're going to break that out, and I'm going to stop it right there. And I'm going to put Rhonda back in, because when we do this flippity flop thing, it takes us out, man. Good Lord. But that's okay. We're doing it. We got it good. So it is our honor. I don't usually do this either, but our guest hails from a little town known as Sugar Loaf, New York. She is a five-time martial arts world champion. Her and her amazing husband, Paone Somma, both own a storefront with 2 locations with the name of the Light Club Curiosity Shop. Hopefully this is all intact and still rolling. She is known by the Chakra Witch. This is Melissa Paone Somma. What up?
Hey,
Hello.
we're so excited to have you.
Ed, you're disembodied there.
Looks like it. I love the group. It's the whole Doctor Who thing. I'm everywhere, nowhere at the same time.
Hello. Thank you so much. Thank you. That was a very illustrious introduction, my friend.
Oh, I'm going to do something.
Mm. Can't even.
I never know what he's up to.
Okay.
So I live over near the Richmond International Airport, and I have this amazing little studio in the back, and the airplanes are still flying high.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Oh,
So, how are you?
I am great. I would love to say hello to Carrie Lynn because I think that's how I met you, right?
Yep.
Through the Spirit Switchboard. I was blessed enough to be a guest on that wonderful podcast as well. So thank you for that. And wow, somebody's from Australia. This is amazing.
Yes, ma'am. We've
Hello.
got wonderful people
Wow.
tuning in, and they're new travelers. There's a lot of new travelers here. Kim is new, and thank you for being here, Kim. I think we have Robert is new to the show, as you know, such. Rebecca Owens is back. Hello, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Mary, and hello. Oh my goodness, you have some fans, girlfriend.
Well, I have friends. I have good friends. That's why I wouldn't say fans. I would say friends. But wow. Anywho, I'm very interested in this one in particular because I've never ever had. This is the first time where someone from my one life intersects with my other life, because I always feel like my martial arts career, it's almost like my past life, even though I still practice now, but I almost feel like it's a past life thing because, you know, I stopped competing. I retired from competition in like 2000. That's 24 years ago. Who knows that? Right. So, you know, yeah. So, I mean, at one time, you know, I was very well known from that, but now it's just like, you know, when you started saying, you know, that, like, oh, wow, I remember you from this. That is the first time these two worlds have intersected for me like that.
Hands in the air, same
so
here.
I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate
Absolutely.
you. Very much.
It's the first time.
Yeah.
That's how he's been like off the charts excited. He's like, I cannot believe this.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's nice because
people
you know,
going, I'm so nervous. Then of course the energy comes out and I kind of chill.
Well, you should be, sir. I can kick your ass. So anyway. But really.
I'm going with that. I'm not even going to argue.
No.
Even though my brother would say, yeah, you probably can.
No, but it's an interesting thing, though. It's because when I teach or anything that I do, I refer to it a lot to connect, like, this is where this level of knowledge came from, or this is where I came up with this, but never anybody who actually knows, like, who's kind of walked that path really and understood it to the extent that I did. Because, you know, I can say, oh, well, I competed, you know, on a world stage, or I did this, or I did this, but I don't think anybody really understands the magnitude of what that was.
Right.
So, you know, it's so interesting when somebody finally did, because I almost forgot until you like started saying, you know, like, well, I remember you from this. I remember you from this. And I said, oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this one aspect of me, it's just like, oh yeah, that is me. That is still there.
I think we do that in everything though. Like even in my business life, like my daily job, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I would do two really totally different things in my spare time.
Totally different. And they don't always, we put on these different hats and they don't always, you know, you can't always wear the same hat to two different places. So, you know,
I can.
You can.
Look, here lately, in the last couple of years, this thing's more popular than I am. Because everybody's asking, where's the hat? I want the hat. Or,
that's a badass hat. Don't give her that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I would also like to say, because I think I saw him log in, I would love to say hello to my husband. So.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And we got questions for both of you if he wants to answer through you or right here in chat. That's great.
Well, let's see if he's going back and forth or if he's following. So we'll see.
All right. We're doing it. I've got things from your past to the present. Brittany, my sister, is in the house. Brittany Irvin. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. And if I don't say hello to you, please do not get upset. It's just because we're going so fast. I'm a little excited. Hello, sir, and thank you for being here. There he is.
We're excited.
In the house. I am. Not very often I get giddy.
All right.
So there's a lot of things going on. I know a lot about your past and what you're doing. and we're going to try to get that all in as much as we possibly can.
All right, go for it.
Let's jump into something real quick. First of all, and I'm going to set something up while we talk. What was your childhood like? I'm really curious, and I'm going to explain why I asked that.
Okay. Well, let's see. I was lucky because I started showing some ability probably around the age of 7. And I think the way that it came out, it was something my parents could accept. So it wasn't really quashed, but I have a very traditional, like a very Catholic upbringing, and my father's still very, very traditional Catholic. So now it's more like a don't ask, don't tell type of thing. What it is that I do. So, he accepts it and everything, but it's just, don't openly talk about it. Don't come home and say, oh, me and the witches were out, burning stuff. As long as I don't do that, we're cool. But I think it really started to happen because I think in the beginning, and a lot of people experience this, if you're psychic or you have any mediumship ability or anything like that, which everybody does, but I was predicting deaths in the family.
Oh, wow.
That always seems to come first. Okay. For some reason. And then what happens is a lot of people get afraid and then they shut it down. Okay. Yeah. So that's but see, for me,
Robert, are you listening to this?
Yeah. So, but for me, I was very lucky because, we were having, it's going to come out wrong. I'm saying we had like 3 deaths back to back. That wasn't the lucky part. The lucky part was my one uncle. He had a pretty aggressive form of cancer. And we would go to visit him, and I was just slowly watching him deteriorate. And it was kind of hard to see. And, at 7 years old, you don't really understand what's going on that well. So you just see, like, why does he look like that? I don't understand, what's happening. Why isn't he, why is he not walking around? Why isn't he doing this? So one night I went to sleep and my uncle showed up to me. I had a dream. My uncle showed up to me, and he was always very sharp dressed. He had his fedoras and his suits and everything. And he was in this crisp white suit. Fedora was like cocked at that little jaunty angle, and he's leaning against the wall, and he was laughing at me. And he goes, I knew you could hear me, kid. I knew you could hear me. Tell everybody I'm just fine. Tell everybody I'm great. Okay. And I woke up the next day and I just came dancing down the steps because I felt so good. He looked great. He felt great. Everything was wonderful about it. And I looked right at my dad and I said, Uncle Tony told me to tell you he is just fine. And right at that moment, the phone rang and he had passed away in the middle of the night.
Oh, wow. So
apparently he was looking for somebody to tell a message. And there are a lot of people in my family, I'm finding out, a lot of people who have, they're finally starting to embrace the ability and everything, but everybody kind of shut it down. So I guess he just kept going until he found somebody.
Yeah.
And I told him, and because I described the white suit and everything, my father said, oh, well, he was an angel. And that was something my father could accept.
Okay. That makes sense.
The Catholicism. Then my mother, on the other hand, she is more open. So she pulled me aside. She goes, did you see anybody else? So, she wanted to know what was coming up. So she's always been kind of like quiet about it and just, what are you seeing? And she has no problem accepting it. But for my father, I have to frame it in a way that he understands.
Okay.
And that was lucky because when I learned to frame it in a way that other people could understand, I think that's the beginning of learning how to teach this stuff, because you learn how to express it in someone else's language. So that's why I say I was very blessed with the upbringing that I had, that even though we don't realize it, even though it's challenging and maybe it's not accepted in our families, sometimes that helps to create who you're meant to be, because you're meant to break that chain and do something else to a different level. So even if your family doesn't accept it in a certain way, that's okay, because if you continue through that resistance, it gives you something, it gives you a power you did not have before. So, and they're also the ones, my mother is the one who signed me up for martial arts when I was 11. So, yeah.
That is,
at that time, that didn't happen.
I was going to ask you about that too, because like I said, I did a lot of studying, a lot of paying attention to things.
Yeah.
And I will say, I'm not getting all of the chats, Rhonda. I see Sean just jumped on, and I do not see it. So just letting you know.
Okay.
It's interesting that you brought your 11-year-old self into this, because it was about 11 years old when you got into martial arts, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. 7 at the beginning when I had that vision, but I was consistently having visions up until I was, well, now at 11, I'm in martial arts and I'm learning how to meditate. I'm learning how to focus. So now it's just taking it, it's going boom. And also 11, whenever you have that repetition of numbers, that's a master number. 11.
Numerology, let's talk it. Right.
So 11, hey, that was the age Harry Potter, goes to Hogwarts. Okay. All right. It's just 11. All right. So I started, and I started right around, I think it was before Karate Kid, so it's around 83. So yeah, I'm dating myself here, but okay. So I've been doing it for about 40, almost 41 years now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. It's a long time.
So this is the reason I asked that, because one of the things that caught me prior to putting the 2 and 2 together about the martial art world, I went back and I looked. You have a very unique style about yourself, your energy. So let's talk about that just for a second and how that came about. Because what is your nationality? What's your bloodline?
Okay. I'm exactly half and half, Italian and Puerto Rican. Okay.
Wow.
So
Okay.
Yeah. So my mother, that's why it's more like, so it's interesting. I got Strega and I got Bruja. Okay. So it's just like, there's a lot of magic in there. A lot of folk practice. But there's also on the Puerto Rican side, I found out later on that it was like, there's a lot of Native American influence in there as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's interesting. It's very spiritual, definitely very spiritual. I've always been very fascinated with religion, but more in a way like I study it. I find it to be interesting. I actually study it for fun. I don't not necessarily like religion, like, oh, I need religion. It's really more like I like to study it and look for patterns.
Amen, sister. Amen.
Yeah, I like to study it. I think it's interesting, but it's not something you want to understand how it works, because you have to build your own spirituality. So you can be introduced into a religion, but at one point you have to decide what is your spirituality.
Right.
So we actually, we're going to get to that later, if not to another episode, because that's part of one of the things on your website that you offer as a service.
Yes. Yeah. I'm also an ordained minister. Okay. So but mostly we kind of approach it with, just through my practice and what I teach and everything, and through our, what we call a covenant and coven. It basically it's just kind of open, where everything is okay. No matter what background you come into, I'm not going to tell you to take anything away from it. I'm just going to add on some more knowledge. And then that way you can shape it and build your own thing, because whatever you were raised in makes you who you are. It gives you a certain perspective. So you don't have to leave anything behind. You just add on. And that's the only beef I have with any type of religion, where it's saying, no, it has to be this. And it's like, these are all rules and everything. And, come on, at one point you got to break some rules.
Right. Exactly. I'm going to get to your questions, you guys. We're trying to stay in order, but y'all are jumping ahead, and I love that. You're right on target. We're going to get to them, I promise you, because I see Sean had made a statement, and I know Robert. I try not to call him Kenny. Robert had made a statement, and we're actually going to get to that in just a few minutes. But I want to build up to where we're at. And Rhonda, by all means, you know it. Yank that chain if I'm going too far. Because be honest with you, Melissa, I can run my mouth. So
she's the grounded one. So there we go. All right, you got to have heaven and earth. There you go. Right.
That's right. We got it.
Balance.
Earth, wind, and fire right here. The reason I asked that question is because when I first saw you, I thought Romanian. I'm like,
really?
Yes, I saw Romanian. I'm like, oh, intriguing. There's a little gypsy going on here. And
You
then
know,
when
somebody just said that. They came in the shop and they said, "You're a gypsy, aren't you?" And I said, "Sure." Because I don't reject anything. I just, whatever way you want to see me, I'm like, sure. So, and she goes,
Absolutely.
"Really?" And I said, I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I just said, sure. But the main thing is that I've gotten that a lot. I've had people say Irish. I've
oh
had
yeah, I can see
that
that.
was the red. But yeah, Italian and Puerto Rican. And it's weird because I'm so fair skinned that people would be like, why didn't you come out really dark? But I don't know. I
It
don't know.
makes
I've
sense.
always been a little bit of an enigma in my family. I walk the different paths. That's all.
Wait, the other thing is you have a capturing voice. For you're
do.
like a little empowering package with this bold in your face voice. And I'm like, wow, where'd that come from? I love it.
Yeah. No, well, I hated it growing up. You kidding?
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I got made fun of all the time because when you're little and you have a deeper voice and you're a girl, yeah, it's different.
Yeah, I can understand that. But you've
Now
got that radio voice now.
Oh yeah,
TV
well,
voice.
it's commanding now, if you know how to use it. But that comes from martial arts, okay? Because my instructor, okay, the style I trained in, my instructor was the son-in-law of the founder of the style. Okay, so everything was in Korean, everything was strict and just very. So when I had to like give commands or count or anything, half the class had to be in Korean. So I had learned how to speak it. And the way he would call his commands and everything, because they had a hard time. I was like his first female instructor, and he was just like, basically anybody but me would have been okay. So I had to be like, I had to be a little bit more forceful. So when he put me in front of the class and everything, and he was like, "You got to be loud," so I boomed it out and everything, and everybody went like that. And from then on in, that was golden. He just kind of stepped back and he was like, "You okay?" They never say you're good.
No, you never get a good. Or
I don't think. I think maybe one time, he said, "That's not too bad."
Oh, that's pretty good then. You're doing pretty good.
That's huge praise. So yeah, and I have him on videotape doing it. So I just everyone
score that way you can bring it back at him.
Yeah, so I got to get that digitized.
Let's get there. Let's get to where you're talking.
Okay.
So you were 11 years old, and you were a bit of an introvert.
And a lot of an introvert. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So
that's why my mother put me in.
Exactly. That's where I wanted to get to.
Mm-hmm. Well, it used to bother her because I was one of those who I could just put my headset on and I would get like right in front of my desk and everything. And I used to make my own comic books.
Oh, wow.
And everything, artist, and I could be in there for hours. I just have the whole storyline and then I would just start going. And I would close the door. And for some reason, that just my mother, she's Puerto Rican, she's very outgoing. All right. And my father also very outgoing. But the thing is, you got an Italian and Puerto Rican, you got two hotheads. At one point, you can't get a word in edgewise. So somebody's going to end up being quiet. That was me. Okay. So everybody in my family is loud except me because I'm the youngest. So she didn't realize why I'm so quiet. They didn't know what I was just so different. So she just said, you have to do something. You have to have some type of activity. And she figured this would bring out my confidence. So she signs me up for martial arts and everything because she wanted it to be something physical. And she goes, try it for a year. All right. So she took me to two different schools. One of them was Aikido. It was an Aikido school. Okay. There were only two at the time because this was not a common thing. And this was back, remember, this is pre-Teenage Mutant Ninjas, pre-Karate Kid, all of that. So there are no.
We're going to talk about that, by the way.
Yeah. There are no women and there are no kids. Okay. And she's bringing an 11-year-old girl in saying, do what you will. Okay. So she takes me to the Aikido. And if you don't know about Aikido, they learn how to slap out and roll and everything. So they're throwing and flipping. There's all these big men. And I just looked at her. I went, no. All right. Then, so then she takes me to this other school. Okay. And it was a Korean martial art. Okay. if you've heard of Taekwondo, similar, okay, because that is a Korean martial art, but the one I take, Tang Soo, is like taking Taekwondo and Kung Fu and going like that, okay? Incidentally, it is featured in Cobra Kai if you watch it, okay? So, anywho, that's what the Cobra Kai, the original Cobra Kai for the original Karate Kid, they were doing Tang Soo Do, because the stunt coordinator was Pat Johnson, who was Tang Soo Do practitioner. But that's just a little fun fact. So anyway, okay. So I go there, and there's this really, a Korean master sitting there, and he would not even, I wasn't even allowed to watch a class. I had to be interviewed, and he had to find out the reason why I wanted to train. And then so my mother started talking, and he stopped her, which never happens. Okay. And he wanted to hear it from me. And that was a moment, as soon as that happened, where, I felt like I was being heard. I was like, I didn't even know what he was doing. I wanted to train with him. And yeah, that's what did it. And I'll never forget, like, he had me in the first lesson, and it just clicked. Something just clicked. And so he had me come back, and then he immediately put me in the adult class, which was very unusual, because they did have a children's class, but they were all kids of the black belts who trained.
Okay.
And he didn't want to put me in that one, because that was like, it was almost like glorified babysitting. So he threw me in with the adults. So he saw something in me. And there was one other woman, but she was a black belt. She was like a secondary black belt. And then everybody else, it was all men, all adults. Yeah. And I pretty much had to, I just had to kind of fight my way through that, because they just didn't think I was going to last. And I went every single day, because it was just something different. It wasn't just a physical activity, because I was tiny, I wasn't good at sports. But this was something different, because it was something to concentrate on. It was something I felt like I was accomplishing something. I felt like I was learning something. It was exotic. I was also meditating every day, and he was very big into philosophy as well. Okay. So, and he was also a yoga instructor.
People don't know about you. You're not very tall.
No, I'm 5'4". Yeah. That's it. And that's with shoes on. So
yeah. So when I said a little power pack, I wasn't joking. You're a shorty.
No, my husband's like a foot taller than me. He's always surprised, because he always thinks I'm taller than when I am. He says that a lot, because I guess I project differently. Everybody's always surprised. I think when they see me in person, they're almost a little disappointed, because they assume I'm going to be taller.
I think it's awesome. When I saw the videos, I was like, yeah, okay. I remember.
Yeah. And what was really crazy is, like, when I was competing, the kata, or the form that I was doing, was like for a large animal. I was doing the eagle form. So that's insane. Usually you pick something for your body type. So you pick something smaller. So I should have picked like the sparrow or something, one shoe. It's like this smaller form. But no, there I am doing the eagle, and I'm puffing up and everything like that. And that's why when people with martial arts, you come down off the stage and they're like, oh, you're short. but also most martial artists are. We're more compact. That's all. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Smaller strike zone.
Right. Exactly.
You don't want to be tall. It takes too long for everything to get there.
We got short strike.
Yeah, you got somebody 6 foot. I could be like, waiting for their foot to get to me. I'd be like, oh, it's okay. Meanwhile, I'm right in there, go boop boop. Bruce Lee was only 5'4". Come on.
He was exactly. Perfect example.
Yeah.
So they get you in, you have, so really, real reason why you chose this style is that actually the style chose you, because the universe led you to this sensei.
Yes. Yeah. And this sensei, actually in Korean, it's Sabon. And he was like almost like my father, it was like a second father. But here's the funny thing, because it was a cultural thing. And also at that time, because, we're looking at the 80s here. Right. Okay. And please remember, this is of the time. Okay. This is not anything against the person. I was like almost like his pet. you know, like a teacher's pet. You just got a biggest kick out of this little girl coming in there and being able to keep up with everybody. And then one day, and he used to do this thing. It was like this funny thing to all the kids. You know, they would come in and they would be going into the, like, getting ready to get onto the dojang. You know, they call it in Korean, it's dojang. And he would do this thing. He would put his hand like kind of in front of your butt and he'd go like that to get you to go in. You know, he would do that with all the kids. Well, one day I went in, I was about 14, you know, and then, you know,
warmed out that.
And he had a good look at me, and then he walked away like that. And then he treated me very differently from then on in, because now I wasn't a kid anymore. I was a female. So then came the stay 10 steps behind, even though you outranked all these people and, you know, all the, you know, listen to the men and blah, 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 blah. And I just kept hanging in there. And, you know, I was coming like 5-6 days a week, and these guys were only training like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
So I just had more knowledge. Plus, I used to do this one class. I would go in the afternoons, like right after school. I would go in at 3 o'clock, and nobody else was going to that class. It was just his sons. So it was me and his sons, and we were all the same age. And they teach their kids stuff that they don't teach everybody else.
Right.
So I started learning all this extra stuff. So I would go into the class, you know, and then it was just, you know, I'm not going to say, but, you know, it was just, I did very well in the class. So at one point, you just can't deny that. Yeah. So with great reluctance, he let me up in front of the class. And that was a moment where I realized, I was like, this is why I'm doing this, because everything just clicked. You know, not everybody can teach. Some practice, usually a practitioner is not always a good teacher because it comes easy to them. But because I was small and there were so many things stacked against me, I had to really know my stuff in order to be able to do it. And that made it easier to explain. So the first time he put me up in front of the class, it was just like I was remembering. I didn't have to learn how to teach. I just remembered it. And it was so natural. And I just realized that was the whole reason why this found was to teach. And then I've been teaching since I was 14, because I had to apprentice in order to get my black belt. I got my black belt at about 15. And after that, once you got your black belt, you know, you were teaching.
Yeah.
So, you know, but he started me off teaching the kids because nobody wanted to teach the kids. Yeah. But that was around the time that they discovered, okay, and this became a big thing that they started recommending, is that they realized that martial arts were very good for children with ADHD. Help them focus. Yes. All of a sudden, everybody's bringing their kids in. And a children's class that used to be maybe 8 to 10 kids that were just the kids of, you know, like the martial artists who train there. Now you have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Karate Kid, everything like that. They're marketing to kids because they're realizing that this is an untapped demographic. Right. Okay. With parents who are willing to spend on their children. So now all of these kids are signing up and they don't know what to do with them because they're not used to teaching kids. So who are they going to look at? They're going to look at the one girl black belt there that they don't really want in the class anyway because they don't know what to do with her. Well, now they know what to do with her, make her teach all of these kids. So they throw me at 15 years old into a class with kids with ADHD, Tourette's, you know, autism, you name it. And that's who I learned how to teach with.
This is amazing that you're telling this part of it, because we're going to just speed it up just a little bit, because I want to make sure this gets in, because we go from you teaching the kids to you becoming Mrs. Miyagi.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So let's find out how you became a champion. I'd love to hear the story. You got to hear the story, Rhonda. And
it's a weird story.
It's an amazing story, and I love it. Okay. And it needs to be heard.
Well, I love to compete, but the main reason I started competing is because I used to be terrified to test. Absolutely terrified. All right. So they told me, well, if you compete, if you go to tournaments, you're used to getting up in front of the same people who are going to be judging you at a test. So it makes it easier. It's like a dry run. So I only competed because then I'd be less nervous at testings. that's the reason why I started. But then when I got out on the floor, I'm like, I kind of like this, right? And I would get up and I would lose all the time. It's the girl.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
Let's revert a little bit. I'm going to pull back on the reason why I call her Miyagi.
Sure.
The father and the daughter.
That's
the story. They need to hear that.
Yeah, that's coming.
Oh, okay. Let me pull back. I thought.
Yeah. Well, that, so I'm competing, right? Eventually, I get to the point where I do start to win. I ended up being the first woman to get what was called a grand championship, okay, in my style. Very small field, though, because it's only my style, okay?
Right.
I eventually opened up a school, okay? I was insane. I opened up a school at 22 years old. I don't know where I had the balls to do that, but whatever. No, it did well. So what ends up happening is this, I guess I developed a reputation at this point, good teacher, competed, did pretty decent. So this father comes in, he has his daughter, she's competing on what's called the open circuit. Okay, that's what most people know because, it's like all different styles. See, the style, what I was competing in was called closed circuit, this style only. If you don't know anything, if you know Tang Soo Do, that's it. All right. But anybody outside of Tang Soo Do, Bushido, whatever, they don't know. They never see me. Okay. Right. So father comes in and he says, I have, my daughter, she's competing, but she's kind of, she's kind of hit a brick wall here. She's not working, this other instructor she was working with left, and now she has nobody to train with, and you came with a high recommendation. So I start teaching her everything, but I'm very traditional, right? And he keeps saying, well, in open circuit, they don't really do that. And he's arguing it with me. So I look at him and I said, I don't care what they do, okay? She's competing, but she's got to learn how to do it properly. And if she does it properly, if there's any decent judges, they're going to give it to her, right? So we're going back and forth. And he goes, no. There's certain things that you have to do. And you don't know because you've never competed in open. And I looked at him and I said, look, pal, I could go into one of your big tournaments and I will place in the top 3, right? So we're going back and forth, and and he's actually getting a kick out of me. I had a very good relationship with this parent. Actually, to this day, it's still I love this student.
It's kind of like a root, isn't it? It's kind of like your root that what started you. So you hold on.
I actually officiated her wedding. This girl.
Oh man, that's awesome.
I did a few years ago. It was, oh my goodness. So anyway, so finally, we're going back and forth, and I said, look, pick a big ass tournament because they're doing the open circuit, but they're doing regionals. I says, no, go big, go national. Give me a big one. I said, what's the biggest one nearby? And it was the Junri Internationals in where was it? Washington, D.C. Okay. Now, if you know anything about Junri, that's the father of American Taekwondo. He sparred with Bruce Lee. The guy's insane. Okay. So his tournament is huge. People from all over the world come to this thing. I said, we're going to that one. He's looking at me like this. I said, she's ready. Watch. Right. And then I entered. Okay. And I said, and he says, the top 3, there was 40 women in my division. Okay. And what happened is I went up first out of 40, which is a sucky position. Because if you're being scored, they get higher and higher at the end. So if you go first, it sucks, especially out of 40, right? Because they didn't know who I was. I had no seeding. I was first time in this tournament. They didn't know. I held on to that lead until the very last person. So so my very first one, I took a second place. I walked off there and I looked at him and I said, like that. And his daughter placed. I think she placed second as well. So they were thrilled because that was highest. Well, what ends up happening is because I compete in that tournament, by the time the World Games comes around, if you have a ranking, which that one was enough to give me enough of a ranking, I get an invitation to the World Games. Okay. Well, she's going to the World Games because she made a national team, everything that they wanted. She did very well, right? So she's going to the World Games. Well, I found out that a competition fee was cheaper than a coach's pass. It was actually $200 less. $300 for a coaching pass for the month, but if you competed, it was only $100. So I saved myself because I'm cheap.
You got drawn in, girlfriend.
I'll compete, sure. What the hell, right? So I enter. We get in a car accident on the way there.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't hear about that part.
A mile from the hotel. Okay.
And
what was weird is I saw it coming. I had this, I was laying down in the back seat. Okay. And I just went, and my mother tells me she remembers this. And I went, oh God, like that. And right after I said it, bam, we rear-ended the car in front of us and the car behind us and everything. I got thrown into the front. I subluxated my shoulder, like it popped out. It did pop back in, but it was bad, right? You know, because it was just so. I think we ended up, the car got totaled. So we ended up, luckily that father, you know, that they were already there, the father with the daughter, they came and picked us up. So at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm watching, you know, the floor. She was still competing because, you know, she was making match after match. So I'm sitting there with like ice bags strapped around my shoulder because, you know, I subluxated my shoulder and I got to compete the next day. So I couldn't raise my arm any higher than that without pain. And the first move that I've got to do is this.
Hey, y'all going to see that in just a second.
Yeah. So, anyway, I get up, you know, and I just on sheer. So I'm just getting into my meditation, getting myself into my trance and everything, doing my thing. You know, nobody knows who I am. I have to go up first because I have no seat. I have the lowest seating. Everybody else has been competing all year. I don't know what this is. I'm only doing this so I can get on the floor for free for the next week. So I get up and I win the prelims.
Injured.
Bam. Injured.
Wow.
Kurt Angle.
I'll tell you why. Because everything was so hard up until there. You know, the deck was always stacked against me. Size, you know, female, this, that I tend to work very good under pressure.
Under pressure. I've heard that.
Yeah.
So with that being said, let me share that.
Oh, geez. You found it on YouTube? Yeah, it's like the only existing thing. Slap.
So I told you I did my homework.
Yeah, that one was slap. I was only 26 there.
Wow.
26. That was 1996. Yeah.
Wow.
That was actually before I won the title.
And that's why I wanted to bring that up. It's the progression. This is the crazy sad part. This show is only an hour, and I told everybody this isn't going to work. We're not even scratched.
Yeah.
I know. We've got 5 minutes left. So I would like to personally ask you to return back with us.
Sure.
I would love it.
Yeah. Because we haven't even tied this.
I'm sorry. I talked
this wonderfulness into everything else we want to know.
Right? Look.
Like, I feel like we're starting at the beginning.
Oh, man. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Let me know. That's fine.
I'll send you a date if you have some time in December. If not, we can make it in January, February.
December.
So that would be great.
Yeah.
So let me put it like this. And this is something else that I used to do that I wanted to bring back. In your life, the footprint of your life, what footprint would you like to leave behind What do you want people to remember you for?
Teacher. That's easy. Teacher. Actually, you know what? No, let's change that a little bit.
Oh,
Just going to shift it just a little bit. One of the most difficult things in my life was actually not the titles at all. That was nothing. It was earning a master under my instructor, because I was the first female to do it. And the term in martial arts, when you translate sabonim, which they say that means master, it actually doesn't mean master. It means one who walks in front of others.
okay. Yep.
That's what I want to be remembered for. It's just that, hopefully I'm walking my talk and doing it to a decent enough extent that I'm helping somebody else's path be a little easier.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, I love that.
That would be it. That's what I'd like to be remembered as. Like if they just put, like on my epitaph, if they just put sabonim, that would be fine. Because that just means one who walks in front of others.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Melissa, where can people find you? I know hopefully we've got some people want to reach out to you now.
Well,
where are they gonna find you?
I do readings. So you could actually book anything, or you could find us at the shops. We have so many events. I would go to mylightclub.com. Look in the menu and everything. I even have a year and a day course coming up where I'm kind of opening up enrollment for that. I only do it once a year. So that class, there's actually a free intro class to that next Saturday. But if you go to mylightclub.com, you can just look up anything up there. You can go readings, classes, just come visit us at the shop. You can even order things online. But everything in the shops, we make by hand, because I want to make sure it's being done right.
We're going to talk about that on the next episode. Yeah. I told you that we have a lot. I'm ready for you.
Well, I was going to talk about the martial arts part, because that doesn't happen very often. I'm just glad that it didn't bore people who aren't necessarily into that.
I think it went really well. We didn't even get to a lot of the questions. Like, I don't want to answer it, but we're going to ask you, where did the chakra come from? The Chakra Witch.
Yeah.
We're going to get into the metaphysical and spiritual, because that's what this show's about. Yes. The effect of the universe on us and us on the universe. And this is just the scratching of your story. Yeah. And I know our travelers and new travelers, yay, want to hear it. Absolutely. Rhonda, what you got going on before we end the this era, a little celebration?
And not a thing.
Well, thank you.
Well, we're going to lead up with her.
Money by next time, that's for sure.
There you go. So Melissa, I will definitely send you a couple of dates, and you just let us know what's good. And if the man would like to join you, we would love to have him.
I would love that. I would love that.
Cool.
Such a big part of the shop, and I really can't talk about the shop without him. So I really appreciate that.
We have to have you both on. That would be
wonderful. That would be wonderful. Thank you. Yeah.
Travelers and those alike, you know where to find her. Also, check out the shop. Is this right? ChakraWitch.com?
ChakraWitch.com. Yeah. You can book an appointment. Yeah, like you could book a reading directly with me through that. But you do get a more full-bodied from the mylightclub.com as well. Just check them all out. They link to each other. They go back and forth. You'll find me. I'm around.
There it is. You will find her now. We'll make sure of it. So travelers and those alike, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Orion Effect right here on the R.I.F.T Nation Network. Where we are bringing you the best we can, and we are listening to you. Shows are changing. New shows are coming. Some shows are changing in a very specific way. Stay tuned. Look for what we're doing. Look for us on all the major platforms. We hope to see you there on the other side. And as always, may virtue be yours.
Do good things. Be good humans.
Thank you. And stay curious.
I love that. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.